Okay. Hey, teacher friends, how are you tonight? I am so thankful to have you here for a mini training all about how to teach sentence writing in the classroom. And I know this is a big topic for us to tackle, so I'm not going to hold you back very long. But my name is Tony, and I am an energetic and passionate primary teacher. I love little people, and I love you for teaching those little people. Thank you for your service in the classroom. You are really molding the youth of America, and I appreciate it. I know what kind of job it is because I do it every day. But before we get started with our sentence writing topic tonight, I want to have a viewer shout out. Anytime you're watching one of my videos and you take time to leave me some thoughtful feedback, I really appreciate it, and I do read every single comment that I receive. But Vanessa, you are a winner tonight, and I've already notified you of this. But this is what Vanessa had to say about my CVC word writing training I had a couple weeks ago. Vanessa said, "Thank you for sharing this with everyone. This is similar to the program I use in reading recovery. I love how you have laid this out in the classroom." So thank you so much, Vanessa, for taking time to say that, and I really appreciate it. It means a lot to me. So if you are watching this video and you take time to leave some feedback, even if it's during the replay, you may be a winner like Vanessa. So Vanessa, I'll tell you what you've won coming up in just a little bit. But that leads us to our teacher roll call. Please leave me a reaction and let me know what grade level you teach. If you are a kindergarten teacher, give me a wow. First grade teachers, give me a heart. Second grade teachers, give me a thumbs up. And if you are an other teacher, meaning you don't teach those specific grade levels, maybe you are an administrator or even a parent who is homeschooling your children, please leave me a laugh face to let me know that you are here too. And I do appreciate everyone sitting in for tonight's training. So let us know what you teach. And I want to give you a quick introduction to Peppy the pencil. Peppy is your visual cue. When you see Peppy, you have something to do. You have something to write. And that is how I know that you are engaged with the content that I'm teaching. So we preach engagement. We want our students engaged. Please be engaged with me tonight and watch out for Peppy. If you are engaged with Peppy, you might just be a winner of the giveaway. So let's think fast. And there's Peppy. Look at him. He's so cute. When you see him, there's something you're supposed to do. Anyway, Peppy wants to know, what is your classroom theme? What is the theme of your classroom? This is a picture of me and my students taken just the other day, and as you can clearly see, the theme of my classroom is sunflowers, and it is a theme that is very dear to my heart. I lost my mama a few years ago, and she loves sunflowers. So when I had the opportunity to redesign a new classroom, I went all out with sunflowers. I had a local artist paint this mural, and everyone loves it, and so do I, because I think of my mama every day when I look at that. But it's almost time for me to update that, so who knows what I'll have next. But for now, that is my classroom theme. And I want to see in the comments, what is your classroom theme? You might just be a winner for sharing that information. So let me tell you about the giveaway tonight. And I can't even believe that I'm giving this away. Well, actually I can, because I love helping teachers. But this is an incredible product called Daily Write It. And it is a writing routine that includes 50 days of sentence writing practice for your students. And this is what one user had to say about Daily Write It. Teresa said, "Thank you for making YouTube videos to show, explain, and model your awesome products. Because of your videos, I'm able to see how Daily Write It will be incorporated into my kindergarten classroom, and it will be used." She wrote that in all caps. "Thank you for representing your products with clarity and being visible to your buyers. really appreciate your honesty and hard work. So Teresa left that feedback, and there are lots and lots of feedback to read. If you want to check out my daily Write It routine, I've left that link up in the description. But thank you, Teresa, for that wonderful feedback. It really helps me to keep going. It's very, very encouraging. But, of course, you can win that tonight. So let's see. Oh, and I also want to mention that this is one of my best-selling products. If you go to my store, first of all, my #1 seller is a phonological awareness routine called WordWorks Daily. If you like WordWorks, give me a thumbs up. And then I have a letter and sound fluency routine. Wait a minute. Okay, so all my things are basically based on routine because I really believe in routines. But there it is. #3 bestseller in my store is Daily Write It, and I am giving that away tonight. But I have a big giveaway at the very end of the training. If you drop in a question during my live Q&A at the end of this broadcast, you could win not only my Daily Write It Simple Sentences routine, but you could win the first grade version of this product. Altogether, that is 100 days of sentence writing instruction for your kids. So if you stick around for the Q&A and you drop me a great question in there, I'm going to put those names into a random drawer, and you might win that whole package. So good luck, and I hope you stick around to the end. But if you can't, of course, everyone watching is a winner tonight, because I have created a free tool for you to take these ideas and the strategy I'm going to teach you and implement it immediately. I really believe in this strategy, so I wanted to give you exactly what you need to get it started right away. Really, as soon as tomorrow, you can take this strategy, this toolkit, and get started. So, find that up in the description, and you will be ready to go. Okay. Peppy says, think fast. So we're talking about sentence writing. So Peppy wants to know if you can write a 3-word sentence that is funny. Write a 3-word sentence that is funny. And if you make me laugh out loud, really, is that funny, you're probably going to be the winner. But just try your best to write a 3-word sentence that is funny. So I'm checking out your sentence writing skills during this sentence writing training. Okay, so teachers, we're talking about writing sentences. Wow. Can you believe we've gotten them this far? I mean, and we know the immense amount of work that we've put into all of this preparation to get them to this milestone. So celebrate it a little. Be proud of yourself. You don't give yourself enough credit. But look back at those kids and what they came to you like, and look where they are now. So I want you to celebrate milestones like that. And if you had a student that came in below level, and now suddenly you've worked with them and now they're ready to write sentences, that's incredible too. Growth is a wonderful and beautiful thing. So if you've caused growth in a student, take time and celebrate that milestone. You're amazing for what you've done. So I am really excited to begin sentence writing with my students. We've done some preliminary things, but we're starting full force next week, and I'm so excited. I'm so proud of them, and I'm proud of myself. It's a lot of work. So first of all, celebrate that milestone. But now, let's make sure we know exactly when we should begin sentence writing with our students. When is it a good idea to expect them to write complete sentences? So I want you to take a look at these things you should consider before you implement a full group sentence writing routine in your classroom. Okay, so of course there's phonological awareness, and it is one of my favorite topics because I know how incredibly important it is. So of course your students need to have a good foundation in some of the phonological awareness skills. For instance, the concept of spoken word. That is very important. If they don't really understand the structure of a word, how can we expect them to be writing sentences, right? Okay. There is also segmenting blending and writing words. For instance, writing CVC words. If your students are not good at writing CVC words, it's going to be really hard to string together sentences. So we need them to be able to segment a word into sounds so that they can write down those sounds to form a word. Okay, and of course, a little punctuation understanding would be wonderful. Now, I'm not saying we need formal lessons about this. Personally, I talk a lot about punctuation during my morning message. You may have that in your guided reading groups if you do things like cut up sentences, talking about periods and exclamation marks. But we need them to have a shallow understanding of the different types of punctuation and how they are used in sentences. Also, we need a little bit of sight word ID. If your students don't know or don't recognize any sight words, it's going to be hard for them to form any sentences, or at least a variety of sentences. And lastly, we want to have a good ability to reference the word wall. I use the word wall a lot in my classroom, and my students look at it quite often to find words they don't know how to spell. So, of course, I've taught them the skills involved in finding the beginning sound and then finding the word they're looking for and being able to copy that. So, you may use a word wall, you may use a sheet reference, I'm not sure. But however you do it, we want our students to know how to do that. And if they don't know how to do that, of course, you could model that. But what if they aren't ready? So let's talk about what if your students aren't ready? What if you have considered the ideas I've given you here and you kind of feel a little feeling in your stomach that this isn't the right time? Well, let me give you my very best advice. Don't try to build a house on top of sinking sand. Okay? Building a house on top of sinking sand isn't going to help you or your students. If your students are not prepared in those areas, focus first on foundational skills. You are solely responsible for those foundational skills, and no one else is going to get them there. You are. You are most responsible for those. So if your students aren't ready for sentence writing, that's okay. That can come later. Those foundational skills are the most important. So step back a little and reevaluate and make a new plan before you implement the kind of strategy that I'm going to teach you tonight. So with that, Peppy wants you to be engaged and write a 4-word sentence about a cat. Can you come up with a 4-word sentence about a cat? Be creative, teachers, okay? Let's pull in a little creative writing here and write a 4-word sentence about a cat. I can't wait to see what you have to say about a cat. Okay, so now that we have talked about when writing sentences is appropriate, let's talk about how to get them there. Okay, so it's a milestone. We're thankful we've come to this place of sentence writing, but we feel overwhelmed. And in my primary teacher friends Facebook group, that's kind of the feeling I get from my friends over there. It's overwhelming. We don't know how to get them writing those complete sentences. We don't know how to take word writers to sentence writers. And it's pretty complicated. It really is. I'm not going to lie. Except that I have a secret tool in my pocket that I'm going to share with you that has proven to be wonderful time and time again to help mold my students into complete sentence writers. Are you ready for it? Simple strategy, time-tested, completely proven to work, and recommended by a lot of people. It's, of course, dictated sentences. Okay, so we are getting dictated sentences for the win. Thank you, Lord, that I came upon this strategy many years ago, and I created everything. I created the whole routine. My whole daily writing routine is based on the idea of dictated sentences. And you can create your own routine. I'm going to tell you how to do that in just a few minutes. But dictated sentences are your answer. If you're struggling on how to get them there, this is your answer. Let me tell you more about it. Dictated sentences are pre-written sentences that you say out loud and you expect your students to write down with correct form. Okay? So we're not talking about writing sentences during writer's workshop. We're talking about teaching sentence structure and how to form a sentence and using punctuation, things like that. I really believe that we can work to create creative writers, but unless they have these foundational skills, their true ability in writing will never show. Do you agree with that? So we need to teach them how to form sentences to help them in the creative writing portion. So that is what a dictated sentence is, and let me tell you some of the benefits of these dictated sentences. So you can find that if you do this every day, your students will have improved encoding capabilities. They also have enriched sentence formation, of course, with correct spelling, spacing, capital and lowercase letter use, and proofreading. They're going to learn to go back and proofread their very own sentences. They'll also have improved word discrimination, which is counting words like we talked about before. And they'll have a heightened listening skills because they're going to learn to listen for your sentence before they're able to put that down. And then they're going to have enhanced reading fluency because we're going to teach them to go back and reread over and over the sentence that they've written, which of course helps with fluency. So dictated sentences are incredible. If you've not used this strategy, now is the time. So now I'm going to teach you how to implement your own dictated sentence routine. And of course, I've told you, you already have the toolkit available for you, so you can take these ideas and implement them probably tomorrow if you'd like. So step number 1 in creating your own dictated sentence routine is to add it to your schedule. So I mean literally going in, scratching on your schedule a 10 to 15 minute time block where you are going to practice sentence writing with your kids every day. I don't know about you, but unless I write it down, it does not exist. So I forget a lot of things. So I always write them down to make them real and to give me more leverage against myself to make sure I complete that. So you need to write it in your schedule. Type it in there. Whatever you need to do, this is important enough to do every single day. And remember this wonderful quote that I love so much. It says, repetition is the mother of skill. Tony Robbins said that, but I love it. Repetition is the mother of skill. So if we put this on our daily schedule, which means we're going to repeat it every single day, that is going to give birth to skill. Your kids are going to become skilled sentence writers because of the repetition you're providing every single day. So that's the first step. Step number 2 is to gather your materials, and y'all know I've got you covered there. You will need the sentence writing toolkit that I've provided that includes this dandy writing page with all the pieces you need at the bottom. And it also includes a list of sentences to get you started. So you're ready to go with this toolkit. You can put this in a sheet protector like I have here. And also your students can use dry erase markers. So prepare your materials by organizing them in a way that makes them easily accessible to students. Remember this is very important. You don't want to waste any of your sentence writing practice time gathering and passing out materials. Make it as quick as you can so that your routine flows very, very smoothly and you can focus on the instructional part and not the passing out supplies part. So we don't have time for that. So those are the materials that you're going to need. And I'm going to show you exactly how to teach this procedure. So you have your tools organized. You have it in your schedule. Now let's talk about how to get this going in your classroom. So the first week that you introduce this routine, it's heavily modeled, okay? Heavily modeled meaning you are doing 99% of the work for your students to see. So for the first week or so, you are going to be writing the sentences, and then you're going to give your kids an opportunity to copy what you've done. So this kind of just gets them warmed up to the routine and helps them understand exactly what's expected of them. But after you have modeled this for several days, you're ready to let loose and let your students have a good shot at it. This is what you'll do. So you're going to have your sentences already. Your list is there. And you're going to have these materials ready. And you're going to just say, boys and girls, we are ready to write our sentence. We're going to write our sentence today. Here is your sentence. Let's have our listening year. And I have my students repeat, listening year. Okay. Here's the sentence. Listen carefully. I can sit. You say it. I can sit. Okay? Say it again. I can sit. Okay, before we can write it, we need to know how many words are in that sentence. Get your counting fingers ready. Let's count the words. I can sit. How many words? Can you do it on your fingers? I can sit. You are right. There are 3 words. So on your writing paper, right here where it says 3 words, you're going to circle the number 3 because there are 3 words. When you finish your sentence, you can count to make sure that you have 3 words. Okay, boys and girls, at the end of every sentence, we have to have a punctuation mark. Let's check for our punctuation mark. Put your arm up. And students put their arm up. Now this is how I teach it. A period, when we have a period, our voice stays the same because we're just saying something. I can sit. Did our voices raise? No, they did not. That's going to be a period. Period. But if it sounded like this, I can sit. Did you see how my voice raised? I got excited. So there would be an exclamation mark in that sentence. But if there was a question word in there like, can you sit? Can you sit? My voice still went up, but it was a question. Someone wanted me to answer them, so I know it's a question mark. Question mark. So we know our voices did not raise. I can sit. So we're going to have a period. When you go to your seat, make sure you circle the period. My marker died. That happens every day, for real. Okay, so now they have circled the period. You have identified the number of words. So we have discussed the parts of that sentence. They need to go back and write it. Except that I also discussed the capital letter. Every sentence starts with a capital letter. I do that chant every single day in my classroom. So I might also say, what word is going to have a capital letter in this sentence? What's the very first word? And of course, in this sentence, I can sit. It's a capital I. So I tell my students, you need to remember the first thing you're going to write is a capital I on your paper. So then I have them transition to write on their own. This is the independent practice of the routine. And this is a great time for you to circulate through the room and see who has this concept down and who does not. Of course, in the beginning, you're going to have to walk around pretty quickly to help all those kids that need help. But really focus on those who are really struggling on this topic, because you're also going to model a proficient sentence in front of your classroom. So if you can't get into them all every day, that's okay, because you're still going to be modeling proficiency at the end of your routine. So after you have given your students time to write their own sentences, you are going to have some sort of cue. Mine is a bell that I ring. I ring my bell, and that means everything out of your hands and ready signal on top of your table. And so that is when my students know it's time for me to model the sentence. And I do have them help in modeling that sentence. So it's not just me, here, this is what you should have written. It's, boys and girls, what comes here? What should we put between our words, our finger spaces? Did you remember to put a period at the end? So that kind of modeling comes at the end of your routine. And of course, after you've modeled it, give those students an opportunity to proofread their own sentence and make it what it needs to be. They'll want to have a minute or two there to proofread and revise their own sentence. So I also teach my students to use the self-check at the bottom. So I model this heavily in the beginning, and then I review it every day by showing them that I use the self-check too. So I teach them to mark off these areas. When they're finished writing their sentence, they go back and mark off these areas when they know they have met them. So here it says they need to have a capital letter at the beginning of their sentence. Boys and girls, go look. Did you put a capital letter? Good job. You can check off that part of your checklist. And there's a spot for finger spaces. If they go back and do this, they can check and make sure they have finger spaces between their words. And then there's a place to check if they added their punctuation mark. If it's there, you can check that off. A spell check is where they go back and look at each word. They can look at the word wall. They can touch and say 3-letter words to see if they spelled those right. And when you're sure you got every word spelled correctly, you can check off that area of your self-check. And there's a first read that they do all on their own. I encourage them to use their reading finger. And then the second read means they read it to a partner. You say to your partner, you mind if I read you my sentence? And then, yes, after they read it, they can check that off. So this is what that looks like in the daily Write It product that I talked to you about. I don't use sheet protectors. I use laminated file folders, which has a spot on the front to illustrate the sentence. That is for my early finishers, those kids that are really good. Inside, I actually have a reference, a sight word reference, and here is that same piece that you're going to have in the free toolkit that I use. And here I've kind of written, I can see it, just for you to see. So that is part of the paid product, but you do have the tools that you need. So that is what the procedure looks like, and it's really, really quick. I know I drug out that explanation a little bit, but when you teach it to your students, it's mostly modeling. They learn from watching you, and like I said, you're going to model that over several days. So if you do this every day, and you should, what seems hard now is going to become so easy for you and your students. And as several of them master the skill, you can use that time that you're circulating around the room to focus on those kids that really need your help the most. And let me say this before I forget, that I have linked up in the description a complete video of how this procedure looks in my classroom. Now, it's an old video, but it's still the same procedure, and all the things that I just explained, you can watch them for yourself and see how they work with real kids. So check that out. It's on my YouTube channel, so jump over there. But I really think you can find some sentence writing success if you repeat this procedure, this routine, every single day. All right, here's Peppy again. Peppy says, think fast and write a 2-word sentence about yourself. So write a 2-word sentence all about you. Thank you, Peppy. And let's, before we get to the Q&A and the big giveaway, let me tell you about my next free item that is coming up. It is like the best free thing I've ever created. I'm so excited to share it. I can barely stand to wait. But the people in my primary teacher friends Facebook group are going to have very first dibs here. So if you are in that group, be watching for this. It's the ultimate positive behavior toolkit for primary teachers, and it is absolutely the funnest and best free content I've ever created. So make sure you're watching out for that, because I can't wait for you to see it. And if you like free content you may have missed, my mini trainings about CBC word writing and word families that came with a complete poster set, you can find those things on my website at teachertony.com/blog. So all of my content is stored there in that area. Anytime you want to see what I have to offer, you can run over there and check that out. But before we get in our Q&A, I want to hear your feedback. Use your voice, well, your Facebook voice, and let me know if you liked it, you loved it, you want some more of it, or maybe I need to get out of here and, get off the stage. But if you give me a laugh, I want to see a comment to explain what can I do to improve my work for you. This is what gives me energy. I'm a full-time teacher who loves doing these things to help you out. So give me some feedback and let me know how I can improve in this area. But for now, we are going to switch over and we are going to have our Facebook Live Q&A. So if you have a question, now is definitely the time for you to place that into the comments here. And I already had some questions from some awesome people over in my primary teachers Facebook group. And I'm going to answer those first while you are getting a chance to drop your questions in the comments. So let me tell you what Leanne asked. Leanne says, how do you get them to move from I see sentence stems after modeling anchor charts displayed and encouragement many different ways to begin a sentence? Even my high flyers still write I see a, and they won't elaborate. So I'm assuming, Leanne, that this is during your writer's workshop, and during that time we do want our students to use their creative thinking to come up with sentences. But I will say that a dictated sentence routine like the one I'm sharing with you today will help them have a bigger variety in the types of sentences that they can write. So when we use this strategy, it just gives them more confidence and it shows them that, hey, I can write lots of sentences. I don't just need to stick with the IC sentence stem. So Leanne, thank you for that question, and you are entered into the random drawing to see if you win the bundle tonight of Daily Write at First Grade in Simple Sentences. Thank you so much, Leanne, and thank you for tuning in every week. I really appreciate you, Leanne. Okay, Laura says, mine struggle even thinking of a sentence. We have been trying to get them to draw first to give them ideas before they write. Even then, I get single words. Okay, so Laura, I have had the same exact struggle before it comes time for me to start this sentence writing routine. Just like I said to Leanne, it's kind of like a confidence barrier they have. They don't believe they can write complete sentences, so they stick with what's comfortable for them. In your case, they only stick to single words. So once we teach them with this sentence writing routine, they're going to gain some confidence and they're really going to have a bigger variety in what they write. Implement it for the 15 days in the toolkit, Laura, and I guarantee you're going to have some more success in that area. So thank you so much, Laura, for your question. And I'm going to move on to Anne's question now. All of you guys, of course, are entered into this drawing for this big bundle I'm giving away tonight. Okay, Anne said, should you start with teaching sentences right away or begin with labeling and then move on to writing sentences? Great question, Anne. Of course, in the beginning of the year when we have our I'm assuming you're talking about kindergarten students here. We want to teach them that our drawings tell stories. Okay, every writing curriculum that I've ever used starts with that module or that area. So I do believe that that is incredibly important. And just like I mentioned earlier in the training, there are some areas we want to reach before we move to complete sentence writing. So I hope that answers your question, and I hope this training answered your question. I know you sent me that question earlier, and I do appreciate that, Ann. Thank you so, so much. Okay, let's move on to Amy's question. Amy says, what do you think about the student dictating a sentence, teacher writing the sentence, and student copies the sentence? Amy, I love that. I love that idea, and I love that strategy. I told you there that I was really impressed that you do that in your classroom, because that is a wonderful way to model a proficient sentence and give our students some confidence. Now, of course, I like that you're starting out that way, but eventually we do want independent sentence writers. So my suggestion would be definitely to do that when it's necessary, but also give your students lots of opportunities to write independent sentences. So thank you so much for that question, Amy. What a great question. I was really impressed with your idea there for your students to say the sentence and you write it down to really show how that is to be done. So great job there. Okay, Jennifer says, is it okay for them to sound out the word to spell? How do I get kids who can't sound out to make a sentence on their own? Okay, Jennifer, my first words of advice is to check out my CVC word writing training that I did. It can be found on my website. And of course, yes, it's great for them to sound out words. And inventive spelling is wonderful. We want our kids to use their knowledge of sounds to form words, even if they're not spelled correctly. Now, our CVC words should be spelled correctly, especially in kindergarten, because they should be fluent with their letters and sounds. So, yes, if they can't sound them out on their own, they're probably, I would back up to CVC word writing first, have a routine, about that area, and then expect your students to move on to complete sentence writing. So let me see what other questions I have. Okay, LaDawn, thank you so much for your question. Do you use this in small or whole group? If you check out my daily write it routine, LaDawn, a lot of people there have told me it's very versatile. A lot of people use it small group, but I am a whole group girl. And I like to use this routine as a whole group because it saves me time. I can take 10 minutes out of my daily routine and get this done. I can still circulate through the classroom, check out the kids that need help, give them assistance, and then model the proficient sentence. And there we go. We've got it done. They've all had all modalities. They've had the I do, which is me showing them. They've had the guided practice and independent practice, all within 10 to 12 minutes, whole group. And if you check out that link that I shared, LaDawn, on YouTube, that was me several years ago. And I did that video as a whole group. But it's very, very versatile. Great question, LaDawn. Thank you so much for that. Okay, Tanita says, how can I get my little scholars to consistently and correctly spell the sight words they know? Okay, Tanita, we are word wall fanatics down in Mrs. Mullins' classroom, and teaching them to reference that word wall is an incredible skill for them. It gives them confidence in their abilities when they know how to reference the word wall and write down that word correctly. Now, if they're just kind of haphazard in it, try some positive reinforcement with, wow, look how so-and-so. they looked up at the word wall and they wrote this word exactly the way it's supposed to be written. What a smart thing to do, little scholar. And I think some positive reinforcement and other kids hearing that can be very, very helpful in that area. So even if they know them and you think they're very, very comfortable with them, teaching them to reference the word wall, which is a very quick thing to do, can really boost their confidence, and it can help them get the work written down correctly. So Tanita, great question. I love that one. Okay, are your chants and motions available in the packet? Diane says, are your chants and motions available in the packet? Diane, the video that I shared does show that, and it shows how I use that whole group. I don't think they're written down, but if you need some help with that, you can send me a message over in the Primary Teachers Facebook group, and I can help you with that. If you need like a deeper understanding of them, I can explain it a little better. But hopefully that video that I shared on YouTube and the links and the description can help you see that a little better. I know I'm kind of squished on the screen here, but great question, Diane. Thank you so much. Okay, I think this will be great to use with my ESOL K-3 students. Thank you for sharing. Oh, thank you so much, Colleen. I really, really appreciate you taking time to say that. Okay, I think we are finished for tonight. We have had a great time. I've had a great time. Thank you so much. And I really appreciate you guys sticking around with me for how to teach sentence writing. I hope you can take these strategies and get them implemented in your classroom very, very soon. And if you find success with it, I want to hear about it. Share your successes with me over on my Primary Teacher Friends Facebook page and give me some feedback. But don't forget to be looking out for that free Positive Behavior Ultimate Toolkit. I cannot wait to share it with you, and I will be announcing those dates as soon as possible. Guys, thank you for having me. I'm so blessed to be here. I will see you soon.